For over 30 years, PsyCop's been testing individuals who claim special powers. They believe false claims are dangerous and see their work as a public service. Their opponents say PsyCop's fellows are not objective and are biased against the psychic.
To Natasha's credit, she has engaged with the skeptics. She hasn't gone for the soft option of going to the believers. She's come along to the scientists, to the critics, and say, okay, you design the test, I'll take part in that test, we'll see what happens.
Experimental psychologists Richard Wiseman and Ray Hyman have set up 2 sessions for Natasha. The first one allows her to work on her own terms, using her usual methods. The scientist will observe her success rate.
To me, the big questions are what's going through her head and what's going through the head of her clients. Does she really see something, or does she believe she sees something? Is she confused? It's fascinating.
Natasha will see 6 patients during this first test. The scientists have been briefed on their conditions. Will Natasha be able to diagnose their ailments? The first patient is a fellow Russian.
So from the start, I apologize that I don't know medical terminology yet.
Natasha quickly focuses on the patient's heart.
Secondly, if you look at the heart as a muscular organ, there are sort of disturbances. Arrhythmia, which means disturbance of the heartbeat cycle. Especially the left ventricle is beating slower than the right.
The patient's problem is shortness of breath and weak heart muscles. He'd had an ECG, which had detected arrhythmia.
Basically, she pinpointed an issue that's present while eliminating the ones that were iffy.
No, it's unbelievable. It's magic. It's true. Unbelievable.
Natasha's next patient suffers from persistent pins and needles. Natasha mentions problems with his circulation.
Circulation?
Blood circulation, yes. To do the massage of this neck area to help blood circulation.
Okay, okay.
The difficulty of testing Natasha is that she's getting a lot of feedback and she's throwing out a lot of different things, which makes life complicated. It means that the more you say, the more things can be likely to be a hit.
Well, in this area, near the ribs, this liver.
I just had high enzymes. My doctor said my enzyme level was very high, and he said it might be due to my cholesterol being high, but he wanted to get the enzyme level down in my liver.
Да, он говорит, что, то есть это то же самое, что мне сказал доктор.
She talked about the liver. I just had a cholesterol problem where my liver was, I guess, a little fatty due to cholesterol. She nailed that. I'm just coming off a cold. She had mentioned my right lung was a little maybe inflamed or whatever. I guess maybe that was the chest cold that I just had. So I was really surprised and happy with the results. I was hoping to be healthier though.
Muscles healed.
This is an impossible thing to pin down the way she operates because she looks at a patient and says, you have something wrong with your lung, and that's true. The patient knows this and medical record shows it. That's a tremendous hit. If she says you have something wrong with your lung and a patient denies it, she still has the out. She says, well, oftentimes I find things that the medical profession has missed.
That's right.
My lower back on the right side.
Or she says it's a condition that's coming, you wait and see. It's very hard for her to be really wrong.
Natasha's halfway through her first day of testing. So far, she's accurately diagnosed the conditions of all the subjects she's seen. How will she perform with the rest? "17-year-old Russian Natalia Demkina claims she can look inside people's bodies and see their ailments. She's come to the U.S. to put her claim of X-ray vision to the test. This patient has suffered from a gynecological condition called endometriosis, and she's worried it's returned. Confirmation from her doctor would require additional surgery. She's asked Natasha to look at her pelvic area, but hasn't explained why.
So this is about your left ovary. I can see this, something either a cyst or something with a liquid inside.
Though they can sometimes be benign, ovarian cysts can also be a symptom of endometriosis.
One of the things that bothered me about Natasha was that she was telling them about things they had wrong that they didn't realize had wrong with themselves.
Well, just try to sort it out as soon as possible.
That's frightening, you know, you're putting some stress on people and you get them to worry about things, and worry itself can begin creating problems.
She seemed to find things that I just was not aware of. And I just had a CAT scan on my liver, and not the same as what she said. So I'm a little, doubtful. Let me put it that way. Yeah. She's as sweet as could be, though. She's adorable.
Amazing and disconcerting. Yeah.
I came because I have very frequent migraines almost every day, and she picked up on that right away. She was right on. I thought it was amazing.
The size is all right.
How much of what she mentioned do you think was accurate, was on target?
Well, she said that she didn't actually mention the word migraine, but she said that I have a problem, a vascular problem, and that I tend to get headaches in the front of my head and my forehead. Also, she talked about the thyroid, and my doctor tested the thyroid back in December because he thought there might be a problem. And the test came up negative, but she said that it was impaired, and that the function was impaired somehow. So I think I'll ask my doctor about it again.
5 out of 6 people seen by Natasha are impressed by her diagnoses. This appears to be a clear success, but the psychop skeptics have a different explanation.
What's interesting is before we asked them to have the reading, I asked them to tell me what the problem was, and people described different ailments. During the reading, Natasha only mentioned the right ailment to one of those people. So the others were sitting there. Natasha didn't mention what was wrong with them, but still most of them were very impressed. I suspect that what's going on is psychological and has a psychological explanation.
Despite Natasha's success with today's patients, the scientists remain unconvinced. Tomorrow, she'll undergo an experiment especially designed to rule out any ambiguity. It'll be the toughest test Natasha has ever faced. It's the day of the experiment to find out whether Natalia Demkina can demonstrate her claims of X-ray vision under test conditions.
I think when it comes to Natasha, we don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, it could be that she's got great imagery skills. She can look at somebody and create images inside her head and then convince herself that they're coming from the outside world. The other possibility is that she's simply lying to us. She's simply pretending that, yes, indeed, she can look inside somebody else's body. And the third possibility is that she's actually psychic, that she really is doing what she claims to be able to do. I think at the moment, we don't know which of those is actually the case. A big part of the test is ruling out the possibility of fraud. And so you have to say to the claimant, look, it's not that I think that you will cheat, it's just we have to rule out that possibility, and some people can find that very offensive.
Having now seen Natasha at work, the skeptical scientist suspects she gets her information not from X-ray vision, but from what the patients say and how they react to her. Today, the scientist won't allow Natasha to interact with her subjects at all. They will wear glasses to make them unaware of when Natasha is looking directly at them. The scientists also suspect Natasha throws out lots of suggestions to maximize her chances of making the correct diagnosis. Today, she's allowed to diagnose only one condition per patient.
Are they okay?
The test is designed to eliminate lots of the problems which may lead us to think that Natasha is psychic when that's not the case. It involves 7 people, each of which have a different medical problem, and 7 diagnoses. And all she has to do is match one of the diagnoses to one of the people. And then we know from the mathematics of the situation how well she's performed.
The scientists want only the people necessary for the test in the room in order to minimize the possibility of cheating. To Natasha's distress, they decide to exclude her mother and sister. Natasha is allowed to use her usual interpreter, a friend from Russia. PsyCop also have an interpreter present. Medical doctor Andrew Skolnick is also there to help with any medical questions.
Hello. Heard a lot about you.
I would say the main ethical problem, of course, is how do you test her and be fair to her, at the same time be fair to the truth? To be fair to the truth, you want to really set up a very stringent test which eliminates all the possibilities except the paranormal one, that she really can do what she said she can do. To do that, you have to put all kinds of constraints on her and put her under stress.
Natasha is shown the medical conditions she has to identify in the subjects. There are 6 conditions. The 7th subject is healthy. Natasha had been told the conditions would be clear and unequivocal, like an artificial hip. She's unhappy with 2 of the selected conditions. One condition is a missing section of esophagus, and she's concerned it could be different lengths in different people. PsyCop reassures her the section missing is substantial. The other condition is a removed appendix, and Natasha feels post-operative scars could be confusing. She asks if she can revert to her normal method of diagnosis, where she examines the entire body and says what she sees.
We did that, I guess, yesterday. Yeah, we did that yesterday.
You want to be fair to the truth. You want to make her feel comfortable. It's very difficult to do. We had to do a lot of negotiations with her. If you compromise too much, you no longer have a scientific test.
To be successful at the test, she has to score 5 or more correct. So if she scored these 2 wrong, it wouldn't matter. If these 5 were correct, we would still consider that a success.
It's very unusual for me to work in these conditions and explaining that, well, of course, it would be great to work in my kind of...
Yeah, if you did it my way, I would have probably guessed not 5, but 7 or 1.
Вас, не забудь, пожалуйста, хорошо? Обхохочешься. Умрешь от расстройства.
Natasha is really putting herself on the line here. Unlike lots of psychics, she's actually saying, yep, come along, test me, do whatever you want, and I'll try and fit around that. So I think it's a very brave thing to do.
Success has been set at 5 or more correct diagnoses out of 7. The odds of just randomly guessing the right condition are 1 in 250.
All right, you can turn around now. She can turn around.
If Natasha gets 5 or more correct, the scientist will admit she has significant abilities. The first case Natasha must identify is the person missing the top third of the left lung. Natasha asks again to hear which portion of lung is missing. Yesterday, she made almost instant verdicts. Today, she's taking much longer. 40 minutes have passed, and Natasha still hasn't made a decision on the person with the missing portion of lung.
You have to finish this before we go on to the next one.
Natasha decides subject number 5 had the lung operation. She takes 1 hour to make her first decision. The next case asks her to detect which patient has staples down the chest